Trump leaned forward, eyes sharp, voice cutting through the room. Obama, you were the worst president in American history. America stopped winning under you. Asterisk. The crowd erupted. Cheers and gasps mingled. Trump's words landed like ATHUND or CLAP. Asterisk. Obama didn't flinch. Calm, measured, he responded, the worst president. Let's talk reality. When I took office, banks were failing. Unemployment was soaring. Millions of Americans were losing their homes and jobs. You say I failed, but what would you have done in those first months? Asterisk. Trump jabbed a finger. You let the country weaken. Our enemies grew bolder. Allies doubted us. America had lost respect. Asterisk. Obama leaned in slightly, eyes locked. Lost respect? Really? Osama bin Laden was taken down. Al-Qaeda weakened. The auto industry saved. The economy stabilized. I ask again, compared to what? Asterisk. The tension was immediate. Trump's style demanded spectacle. Loud accusations. Short, punchy claims. Domination. Obama countered with facts, context, and pointed questions. The crowd sensed a duel, not a lecture. Asterisk. You played it safe. America needed strength. Trump shot back, voice rising. Asterisk. Strength without judgment is recklessness, Obama said evenly. Do you lead by bluster, or do you lead by results? Asterisk. Trump's jaw tightened. I call it winning. You talk about restraint while the country suffered. Asterisk. Obama's calm cut through the noise. I talk about survival, recovery, and principles. 11 million jobs created. A collapsed financial system rebuilt. Millions of Americans' lives protected. That's results, not slogans. And if leadership is only about shouting, then anyone with a loud voice could lead, but history demands more. Asterisk. The room felt electric. Every line, every comeback, every pointed question drew viewers in. This was more than a political argument. It was a collision of visions. Trump demanded dominance. Obama demanded reflection. One sought attention. The other earned respect. Asterisk. In this first exchange, the nation watched a stage set for the ultimate confrontation. Arguments were no longer abstract. They were personal, urgent, and philosophical. Who defines history? Who measures strength? Who leads America forward? Asterisk. The firestorm had begun. The audience was captivated, and the battle over legacy, vision, and leadership had only just started. Asterisk. Trump slammed the podium. The economy was a disaster. Jobs were fake. Wages stagnant. Factories dying. You left me a mess to clean up. Asterisk. Obama's gaze was steady. A disaster? Let's look at reality. When I entered office in 2009, unemployment was skyrocketing, banks were collapsing, and millions were losing their homes. The economy was bleeding. Tell me, what would you have done differently? Asterisk. Trump's voice grew sharper. Slow recovery. Weak job growth. You talk about numbers, but people felt the pain. The country lost confidence. Asterisk. Obama leaned in, calm but firm. And yet, under my administration, 11 million jobs were created. The auto industry survived. The stock market recovered steadily. Lives were protected. The financial system was rebuilt. That's more than survival, it's recovery. Tell me, how would you have solved this in 6 months? Asterisk. Trump's face tightened. 6 months? You took too long. Growth was artificial. America needed strength, not lectures. Asterisk. Obama's tone sharpened. Strength without strategy is chaos. We stabilized the economy, stopped the bleeding, and avoided another Great Depression. Quick fixes may look bold, but they often fail. You say I failed, but results speak louder than slogans. Asterisk. Trump jabbed a finger again. You favored Wall Street. Corporations thrived while workers suffered. The middle class was left behind. Asterisk. Obama's voice rose slightly, deliberate. We saved Main Street as well as Wall Street. Stimulus programs protected jobs. The auto bailout prevented millions of Americans from losing livelihoods. Millions of homeowners were supported through mortgage relief. That is action that preserved families, not just balance sheets. And tell me, what would you have done differently? Dismantle regulations overnight? Gamble with lives for headlines? Asterisk. Trump's tone grew urgent. You failed to deliver real results. The country needed winners, not excuses. Asterisk. Obama's response was precise. I delivered results that lasted. Recovery is not magic. It is methodical, disciplined work. 11 million jobs, financial stability, industries saved. History will remember action, not rhetoric. And if leadership is only about shouting, then any loud voice could claim success, but success is measured in outcomes, not spectacle. Asterisk. The audience felt the tension. Every accusation meant a factual, pointed question. Every claim was countered with context and numbers. The clash wasn't abstract, it was visceral, personal, and immediate. Asterisk. Trump demanded urgency, bluster, and visibility. Obama demanded evidence, patience, and consequence. The stage was electric. Supporters on both sides cheered, debated, and questioned. The conversation about America's future was no longer policy alone. It was a live debate over competence, responsibility, and what leadership truly looks like. Asterisk in this exchange. The nation watched a stark contrast. One style demanded attention. The other demanded respect. The debate over the economy had Beck asterisk home a test of philosophy, character, and vision. Asterisk Trump slammed his hand on the podium, voice sharp. Obama, you led from behind. America's enemies stopped fearing us. ISIS rose under your watch. The Middle East is in chaos. Our allies doubt us. You weakened the country. Asterisk Obama's eyes met his directly. Calm, measured, he responded, led from behind. Let's look at what actually happened. Osama bin Laden was eliminated. Al-Qaeda was crippled. America avoided new large-scale wars. Tell me, in 2009, would you have dropped troops into every conflict you saw? What would have cost more lives? Action without thought, or strategy with restraint? Asterisk Trump jabbed a finger. Strategy. That's excuses. Weakness invites aggression. You let enemies expand while pretending to plan. Asterisk Obama leaned in slightly. Expansion. ISIS grew because of regional instability, not because of hesitation. We worked with allies to degrade terror networks, supported local forces, and avoided rash interventions that could have sparked decades of conflict. Ask yourself, which approach saves more lives and preserves stability? Asterisk Trump's voice rose, accusing. You talk restraint, but the world lost respect. Fear commands attention. Fear ensures allies listen and enemies hesitate. Asterisk Obama's response cut through the noise. Fear as a tool. That may win headlines, but it does not create lasting peace. Strength without discipline becomes recklessness. Look at history. Quick, reactionary decisions often lead to prolonged wars, destabilized regions, and American lives lost. Asterisk Trump's expression hardened. You're making excuses for failure. We need bold leadership. Real results. Asterisk Obama's tone remained steady but firm. Boldness without judgment is disaster. Our approach reduced terrorism, protected American troops, and prevented new costly wars. Leadership is not about constant action. It's about calculated decisions, measured risks, and long-term outcomes. Now tell me, what would your approach have achieved differently? Asterisk the audience felt the tension rising. Every Trump accusation met a pointed question from Obama. Every claim of weakness was countered with evidence, outcomes, and moral reasoning. This was more than a policy debate, it was a clash of visions for America's role in the world. Asterisk Trump leaned forward, fist clenched. Action, visibility. Show the world we are strong. Restrain is failure. Asterisk Obama's voice was precise, unwavering. Action for the sake of action is chaos. Measured strength preserves lives, upholds values, and maintains America's credibility. You define strength by noise. I define it by results and consequences. Which type of leadership will endure? Asterisk the confrontation was cinematic. Every accusation, rebuttal, and pointed question made the debate feel immediate, urgent, and personal. Supporters on both sides were riveted, drawn into a dialogue that demanded judgment and reflection. Asterisk in this exchange. Trump's philosophy of intimidation and spectacle collided with Obama's strategy of measured, principled restraint. The nation was forced to decide, do we value bluster and fear, or foresight and responsibility? Every statement, every counter, heightened the drama. Every question made the stakes clear. Leadership was not abstract, it was a matter of life, death, and global consequence. Asterisk the clash of styles. The push and pull of accusations and evidence set the stage for the next round of confrontation. The world watched, riveted, as divisions of America collided with full force. Trump slammed his hands on the podium, voice sharp and accusatory. Obama, the Iran deal was a disaster. You empowered a dangerous regime. You gave them money. You legitimized a country that threatens the world. Asterisk Obama's gaze was steady, his tone calm but firm. A disaster? Let's review the facts. The deal placed strict limits on Iran's nuclear program. It allowed inspections by international bodies. It reduced the risk of nuclear war without putting American lives in immediate danger. Tell me, what would you have done differently? Asterisk Trump jabbed a finger toward him. You negotiated because you were afraid of confrontation. America must project power. Threats and pressure keep us safe. Diplomacy is weakness. Asterisk Obama leaned forward slightly. Weakness or prudence? If diplomacy is weakness, what comes next when you tear up a deal? Another war? Another occupation? Another generation of bloodshed? You claim strength, but at what cost? Asterisk Trump's voice rose, tense and sharp. Sometimes you have to act. Sometimes you need to intimidate. That's how you get results. You let them push us around. Obama responded with pointed precision, and you believe tearing up the deal solves the problem. Threats alone don't guarantee security. They may provoke aggression. This agreement was monitored, enforceable, and designed to prevent conflict. Leadership is choosing the hard path of diplomacy over the dramatic path of confrontation. Trump slammed the table lightly. Dramatic or not, diplomacy doesn't command respect. You gave them leverage. They took advantage. America deserves stronger action. Obama's tone sharpened, his words deliberate. Leverage. The alternative to this deal would have been war. Sanctions bypassed. Instability in the region. American troops deployed, and civilians caught in the crossfire. Results, not theatrics. That is how history will judge us. Tell me, what would your approach have prevented or accomplished? The audience felt the tension, electric in the air. Every Trump accusation was met with a counter-question, forcing him to justify his hypothetical alternatives. Every claim of weakness met concrete evidence, logic, and historical context. This was not abstract argument, it was alive. High-stakes confrontation over global security and the ethics of power. Trump leaned forward, voice booming. You talk strategy, but the world saw hesitation. The deal emboldened enemies. Real leadership shows force, not patience. Obama's gaze did not waver. Patience is not hesitation. Strategy is not weakness. We secured verification mechanisms, reduced nuclear risks, and avoided unnecessary bloodshed. Your version of leadership risks instant action. But at what cost? Are we measuring strength by immediate spectacle, or by lasting safety and moral responsibility? Trump snapped back, aggressive. Spectacle gets results. Hesitation invites chaos. Obama countered smoothly. Chaos? That is precisely what reckless action produces. Leadership is the boring work of calculation, restraint, and foresight. One wrong move could trigger global disaster. History remembers survival, strategy, and wisdom, not tweets or soundbites. The crowd leaned in. Caught between divisions of leadership, Trump's urgent, confrontational style versus Obama's measured, principled approach. Every accusation, every rebuttal, every question was immediate and charged, creating a sense of living history unfolding before their eyes. This exchange illustrated the core philosophical divide: intimidation versus negotiation, spectacle versus strategy, impulse versus patience. The confrontation made the abstract concrete and the complex personal. And as the debate continued, it became clear that the outcome was not simply about the deal, it was about defining what America considers strength. Trump's voice rang sharp across the room. Obama, you let illegal immigration spiral out of control. Borders ignored. Law enforcement undermined. American workers hurt. You failed to protect the country. Obama's gaze was steady, calm but direct. Spiral out of control? Let's look at the numbers. My administration deported more undocumented immigrants than any before us. Border enforcement was strong, and we emphasized humane treatment. Tell me, how would you have managed it differently without sacrificing lives? Trump jabbed a finger toward him. Humane treatment, that's soft. You made it easy for people to break the law. We need strict enforcement. We need to show strength. Obama leaned in, voice deliberate. Strict enforcement without fairness tears communities apart. Immigration reform requires solutions, not slogans. Threats and fear-mongering don't solve the root causes of migration. Name one policy you would implement that improves safety without creating unnecessary human suffering. Trump's tone grew urgent. We need borders secure. People need to obey the law. You were weak. You encourage lawlessness. Obama's reply cut through the noise, precise and pointed. Weak or balanced. Enforcement is not soft, and compassion is not weakness. We pursued deportations, strengthened border security, and worked on comprehensive reforms. Leadership demands strategy, not just alarmist rhetoric. If fear is your tool, what long-term solution do you offer? Trump slammed the podium lightly. I offer action. Real action. Not endless lectures about principles. Obama's eyes narrowed slightly. Action without planning creates chaos. Short-term spectacle may rally attention, but it destabilizes communities. You call my approach soft. I call it effective, sustainable, and humane. Are you prepared to govern responsibly, or only to shout? Trump's jaw tightened. Shouting gets results. Fear keeps the country safe. Obama countered. Calm but forceful, fear erodes trust. Demonizing immigrants undermines America's moral authority and social fabric. Safety requires policy, enforcement, and fairness, not rhetoric. If leadership is only about scaring people, you will win headlines but lose history. Asterisk, the tension was palpable. Every accusation demanded an evidence-backed reply. Every claim of weakness met with numbers, outcomes, and pointed questions. This was no abstract debate, it was a live confrontation over law, morality, and national identity. Asterisk, Trump leaned forward, voice booming. Soft policies create chaos. Strong leadership takes action. Asterisk, Obama's gaze did not waver. Strong leadership takes results, stability, and fairness. Short-term fear may energize crowds, but real reform protects families, workers, and communities. Tell me, what do you truly achieve by intimidation alone? Asterisk, supporters on both sides were riveted. The clash wasn't just about policy, it was philosophical. Fear versus principle. Impulse versus reason. Spectacle versus strategy. Every statement, every comeback, every pointed question pulled the audience deeper into the conflict. Asterisk, in this exchange, the nation saw the stakes clearly. Leadership is more than enforcement or outrage, it is vision, strategy, and responsibility. Trump demanded attention. Obama demanded reflection. And the debate over America's future grew sharper, more personal, and impossible to ignore. Trump slammed his hand on the podium, voice booming. Obama, leadership is dominance. You need speed, pressure, visibility. Respect comes from fear. People respect strength, not lectures. Asterisk, Obama leaned forward, steady and piercing. Respect earned through intimidation is temporary. True leadership is responsibility, planning, consistency. Respect comes from actions that last, not from noise that fades. Tell me, do you think yelling makes decisions better? Asterisk, Trump shot back, aggressive. Yelling shows authority. Hesitation invites disaster. The country needs winners, not thinkers who overanalyze. Asterisk, Obama's eyes narrowed slightly. Overanalyze or evaluate? Impulse may look strong, but it often fails. Leadership is about weighing consequences, foreseeing results, and making tough decisions that endure. Speed alone is not strength, it's recklessness. Now, tell me, if you act first without context, how many lives or resources will be lost? Asterisk, Trump slammed the table lightly. I call it action. Bold, decisive, visible. That's how America gets results. Asterisk, Obama's voice was calm, deliberate, and I call that spectacle. Boldness without judgment is chaos. Results are measured not by applause, but by survival, progress, and the long-term impact of decisions. 11 million jobs created, financial collapse avoided, terrorism reduced. Are those not results? Or do you only count headlines? Asterisk, Trump leaned closer, pointing aggressively. Headlines matter because attention matters. Leadership is commanding the room, dominating the narrative, showing everyone you are in charge. Asterisk, Obama responded with precision. Each word deliberate. Commanding attention is not leading responsibly. Leadership is tested in crises and choices with real consequences. Dominance may impress crowds, but consistency and foresight earn respect from history. Ask yourself, do you want applause today or a legacy that lasts decades? Asterisk, Trump's voice rose. People feel it when you act boldly. They trust strength. Hesitation looks like weakness. Asterisk, Obama's gaze was unwavering. Hesitation is often calculation. Courage without restraint is disaster. Leadership is not a contest of volume. It is a test of judgment. You call calm weakness. I call measured decision-making survival. Which will history remember? Asterisk, Trump jabbed again. Weakness invites aggression. People need action, not lectures. You talk about principles while enemies take advantage. Asterisk, Obama's reply was sharp, cutting. Principles create stability. Action without principles creates chaos. Every choice has consequences. Immediate spectacle may win attention, but leadership is measured in outcomes, not intimidation. Tell me, do you want headlines or do you want results? Asterisk, the audience was riveted. Each man's philosophy clashed visibly. Trump demanded spectacle, intimidation, immediate impact. Obama demanded reflection, strategy, and long-term outcomes. Every accusation met a pointed counter-question. Every assertion met facts and moral reasoning. Asterisk, supporters leaned in, captivated. Critics bristled. The debate wasn't just about personality, it was about defining leadership itself. Spectacle versus substance. Fear versus responsibility. Impulse versus foresight. The tension was cinematic, immediate, and unrelenting. Asterisk, Trump pushed for dominance, showing the world his vision of power. Obama countered with patience, evidence, and principle. The stage crackled with energy as America watched. Every statement, every rebuttal, every question forced the nation to choose which leadership style would guide the country forward. Asterisk, in this exchange, the conflict became philosophical, practical, and deeply personal. Leadership was no longer abstract theory, it was tested in real-time confrontation. And as the debate raged, one fact became clear. The nation was not just watching to men. It was witnessing a collision of values, visions, and the very definition of what it means to lead. Trump leaned in, voice sharp and accusatory. Obama, you talk about leadership, but your record shows hesitation. You failed to confront challenges head-on. America needed action. Obama's eyes met his, calm but firm. Action without judgment can be disastrous. Leadership isn't insults, blame, or ego. It's responsibility, integrity, and protecting institutions. Ask yourself, do you act for spectacle, or for the long-term good of the country? Trump's tone rose. Impatient, spectacle wins results. Hesitation invites failure. People need a strong leader, not endless speeches about principles. Obama responded with precision. Each word deliberate. Principles are what sustain leadership beyond the moment. You may gain attention through anger and assertion, but attention alone does not protect families, maintain law, or safeguard democracy. The question is not how loud you are, it's how effective you are. Trump jabbed a finger. Effective. You slowed everything down. Your so-called calm left problems festering. Obama leaned forward slightly. Calm is not weakness. Calm allows decisions to be measured, consequences to be weighed, and solutions to endure. I am asking, would the country survive if leadership was all impulse, all reaction, all shouting? Trump's face tightened. You talk like an academic. Leadership requires dominance, fear, action. Obama's tone sharpened, firm but composed. Dominance without responsibility erodes trust. Fear without foresight destroys stability. Leadership is about institutions, not individuals. You may see my approach as avoidance, but it is discipline. It protects the nation, the rule of law, and the people who rely on it. The crowd felt the tension crackle. Each assertion from Trump demanded an immediate, evidence-driven response. Each claim of weakness met pointed, principle-based questions. The dialogue was no longer abstract, it was immediate, personal, and philosophical. Trump's rhetoric demanded applause. Obama demanded reflection. Supporters cheered. Critics bristled. Every statement heightened the stakes. This was Obama at his most direct, rebutting without shouting, challenging without spectacle, responding with dignity and moral clarity. The nation witnessed a leader defining leadership itself, showing that rebuttal could be sharp, evidence-based, and principled all at once. As the exchange continued, it became clear this confrontation was more than a debate between two men. It was a test of values, strategy, and the very meaning of leadership in modern America. The clash intensified, drawing the country deeper into the debate. Trump's statement hit the news like wildfire. Obama is the worst president in history. The headline screamed. Social media erupted. Clips went viral. Every word became content, reaction, and debate. Trump supporters flooded the comments. Finally, someone telling the truth. They cheered. We've been lied to. This exposes everything Obama hid. Their voices amplified the message, repeating every claim, hashtag by hashtag. Obama's supporters fired back, distorting history, misleading the public. This is fear-mongering. They countered. Every clip shared, every statement dissected, every reaction multiplied. Trump leaned into the media storm. People see reality now. We're exposing the lies. America finally knows the truth. Obama responded indirectly through interviews and speeches, his tone calm but pointed. Do not confuse volume with value, he said. History is measured in outcomes, context, and long-term impact, not social media clicks or viral headlines. The clash spread to every corner of public life. Talk shows dissected the debate. Podcasts debated point by point. Editorials weighed evidence. Memes and GIFs became shorthand for arguments that once required pages to explain. On social media, every follower became a participant. Supporters on both sides shared, tagged, debated. Few minds changed, but allegiances hardened. Every opinion gained visibility, every belief confirmed. Echo chambers amplified themselves. Polarization deepened. Trump's messaging thrived in this environment. Short, sharp, confrontational statements spread fast. Critics accused him of division, but supporters called it honesty. Emotion, outrage, and spectacle kept attention high. Obama's approach was different. Calm, evidence-based rebuttals circulated more slowly, but they resonated with those willing to consider context. His supporters cited numbers, outcomes, and moral arguments. His critics dismissed them as boring, but those who watched closely began to see the contrast clearly. Asterisk the interaction between media, public, and politics became a battlefield. Every attack, every response, every viral clip fueled the fire. Identity, loyalty, and ideology became inseparable from the debate itself. Asterisk Trump attack. Obama responded. The audience judged. Social media amplified. Polarization intensified. Every exchange reinforced tribal lines. Every rebuttal strengthened beliefs. Few people changed sides. Most dug in deeper. Asterisk this was not a debate confined to newsrooms. It was cultural, ideological, and personal. Supporters of both men felt vindicated. Critics felt enraged. Everyone was engaged, watching, and reacting in real time. Asterisk the spectacle was irresistible. Arguments were no longer just about policy, they were about identity, loyalty, and values. The country became a living laboratory of polarization. And as clips circulated endlessly, the nation realized one thing: this debate would never fade, because the audience was invested, divided, and glued to every word. Asterisk in this media storm, Trump's bluntness and Obama's measured response created a dynamic that captivated the public, intensified divisions, and made history itself feel immediate, personal, and unavoidable. Asterisk Trump's voice rang out one last time. Obama, history will remember me as the one who fixed your mess. You were weak. You let America fall. I am the one who made it strong again. Asterisk Obama's gaze met his, calm but unwavering. History is rarely written in slogans. It is measured in outcomes, context, and consequences. Tell me, do you judge a doctor on the first day of illness, or by whether the patient survives and thrives? Asterisk Trump jabbed the finger. Survival isn't enough. America needs winners, not excuses. My leadership shows results. Asterisk Obama's tone sharpened. Results without principle are fleeting. Strength without responsibility is dangerous. My record shows progress, stability, and lives protected. That is the legacy of leadership, not just noise and spectacle. So I ask again, whose leadership truly endures? Asterisk the crowd felt the tension. Each accusation met a pointed question. Each boast met evidence and moral reasoning. The debate was no longer just about opinion, it was about judgment, philosophy, and vision. Asterisk Trump shouted, I acted. I delivered. You talk about process while the world moved. Asterisk Obama replied, deliberate and firm. Process, context, and strategy are what prevent disaster. Action without thought is chaos. You may dominate headlines today, but history measures impact, not volume. Asterisk the real question lingered. Who defines history? The man who shouts the loudest, or the one whose decisions endure? The man who seeks spectacle, or the one who safeguards principle? Asterisk as the debate concluded, the nation was left with more than opinions. It was left with a living example of contrasting leadership philosophies. Trump demanded attention. Obama demanded reflection. Both claimed authority. Both claimed success. Asterisk, but history is patient. It waits. And its verdict, shaped by outcomes, context, and time, is still unfolding. The clash between dominance and responsibility, impulse and foresight, spectacle and principle, this is the debate that defines the moment, and the one that will echo far into the future.